Richmond TV presents This Week in Richmond.
Welcome to This Week in Richmond. In this episode, we'll be covering the events in the city of Richmond from August 30th through September 12th. We have a special episode for the 61st Annual Good Old Days Festival running at the same time, so if you're wondering where those events are, go check out that episode. Links for it will be in the description, and check it out on Richmond TV Channel 6 on Xfinity. Our guest today will be Richmond Community Schools Superintendent Brian Walmsley to talk about the upcoming no increase bond proposal on the ballot this November, with the absentee ballots going out on September 20th. Now let's see what's going on with Parks and Recreation. Functional fitness on Mondays and Wednesdays, and Young at Heart on Fridays, starting on September 9th. All classes are 9:30 to 10:30 a.m. You can purchase a punch card good for 2 classes a week of the functional fitness class for $54 or $8 per class. For the Young at Heart class, it is $27 for a punch card, good for 1 class per week, or it's $8 per class. These classes help older adults stay strong, independent, and active through movement. Classes are held at the Richmond Community Center at Beebe Street Park. Call the Parks and Recreation Department at 586-727-3064 for more information. As a reminder, the Odd Gym floor is currently being replaced and will be closed until the first week of September. Thank you for your patience and understanding. Now on to the Lois Wagner Memorial Library. Senior exercise will be happening every Monday and Wednesday at 10 a.m. This program goes at your own pace and is guided by an instructor to help with movement. The Lois Wagner Memorial Library will be closed on August 30th and September 1st in observance of Labor Day. They will also be closed for the Good Old Days Festival starting September 4th and will reopen Monday, September 8th. Now on to the city meeting schedule. City Council will be meeting at City Hall on Tuesday, September 2nd at 7 p.m. The Lois Wagner Memorial Library meeting will be on Monday, September 8th at 5:30 p.m. in the library meeting room. And Planning Commission will be meeting in City Hall at 7 p.m. The Richmond Artisan and Farmers Market will be on every Thursday from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. on June 5th through October 2nd at the municipal parking lot behind the Veteran Memorial in downtown Richmond. Come out and support your local vendors this summer. They will be closed on Thursday, September 4th for the Good Old Days Festival. And now for On Your Radar. The Richmond Parks and Recreation will be holding the annual Scarecrow Decorating Contest with setup beginning October 12th. They must be taken down by Friday, November 15th. Express your creativity and help us decorate downtown. Registration is required, so please contact Parks and Recreation Department at 586-727-3064 for more information. We'll be right back to talk with Richmond Community Schools Superintendent Brian Walmsley about the upcoming bond renewal. Stay tuned. Welcome back to This Week in Richmond. This November, Richmond voters will see a bond renewal proposal on the ballot, a decision that could have lasting impact on students, families, and the future of Richmond Community Schools. A renewal just extends the last bond that was passed in 2019 and that funded improvements in safety, technology, and facilities. To help us better understand what's at stake, we're joined by Superintendent Brian Walmsley, who is here to explain the bond renewal and what it means for Richmond Community Schools. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So for those who are not familiar, can you explain what the bond renewal is and how it differs from a new bond proposal?
So a bond renewal is a continuation of the bond debt that we are currently levying. So in 2019, as you said, the voters approved an increase. So they agreed to pay more in the debt mills. Mm-hmm. Over the last 2 years, we have actually lowered that debt increase because we don't need to levy as much to pay our debt. So what the voters will be asked for in November is, are you willing to continue the debt that you're currently paying? Mm-hmm. And by doing that, it would generate about $51.8 million for our renovations.
Okay. What specific needs within Richmond Community Schools does this bond renewal address?
This bond is very different than the 19 from the perspective of this is about our facility space for our kids, mm-hmm. And future.
Yep.
We've done several enrollment projections, which look at birth rates, they look at death rates, they look at housing markets, they look at the economy. And all of the reports that we've gotten show that over the next 10 years, we should expect about a 16% increase. Currently, we don't have enough room in our facilities to accommodate those students. So what's different about this bond for the 19 is this is really about building additions on our building to accommodate for our current student population and then the future growth.
Okay, so like 2019 was mainly focused on upgrading the facilities and getting all these things that had been needed for years, and now this one is looking forward to the future.
Absolutely, we replace boilers, we replace univents, we lighting, clock systems, flooring, roofs that you don't really see from the public's perspective, but just like your home, they need to be replaced over time.
Exactly.
The bond that we're asking for, the millage that we're asking for on November 4th, is adding on to our buildings.
Okay. So how will this renewal impact students directly in their day-to-day learning experience?
Well, currently, and I'll speak for the middle school, we have 0 extra classrooms in that middle school. So from a facility use, we are maximizing it at 100% the building. As we get new kids, I can't open another section of a 6th grade math or another section of a 4th grade because I have no space to put them in currently. So what this bond will do is allow us to be able to open additional sections, keeping class sizes low. You know, that is one thing that we've really prided ourselves on, is making sure we maintain a low class size. It also allows us the space to do activities. Currently in our middle school gym, we have 2 classrooms that share the gymnasium at the same time, which limits what you can do with kids when you only have half the space. This particular bond proposal not only adds classrooms, but it adds a multi-purpose room for primarily for 4th and 5th grade, so that we can take them out of the main gym and allow them to do more activities and so forth.
Okay. Can you highlight some of the key facility or technology upgrades that will be funded through this bond?
Absolutely. The bond is planned over 2 series. Obviously, we want to minimize the interest we're paying, so we would be selling them over 2 series. So the first phase would be the middle school. It would be adding an addition onto the middle school. Equally, if you have a student in our district of that 4th and 5th grade wing, it's that wing that we're adding on, but in the back of the building. It would add on a multi-purpose room. It would renovate all the interior bathrooms. Most of those bathrooms have not been renovated since the building was originally built in 1970s. I think 72 it actually was built. There's a small roof replacement, but there's a parking lot expansion also at the middle school to accommodate not only the growing enrollment that we're having, but also the growing after school and extracurriculars. We have many youth groups that use our facilities, and when they're there, the parking lot is at a premium. So this would allow for those groups also to benefit from it.
Okay, so it wouldn't just be directly for students, it would also be for potentially for community groups that would be able to utilize the facilities too.
You're absolutely right. In the middle school, the softball concession stand is where that parking lot is planned for. So that building would have to be removed, but we're putting the concession stand on the addition so that we can have bathrooms, which we currently don't have, as well as a concession that has water, electrical, and so forth for any groups to be using. At the high school, in 2013, the voters approved a bond which we added on 4 science classrooms. So the addition is planned off that wing of the high school, to about 8 to 10 classrooms. Again, restroom renovations, many of the high school restrooms, it's the original tile from the 1950s, and we've done our best maintaining it and keeping up, but it's at a point where plumbing fixtures now need to be replaced and so forth. The high school is the only one of our 3 buildings that we call it a clinic, but where kids go when they're sick during the day, they have no restroom and no sink in that facility, so this would allow us to put a restroom in there for the clinic. The high school has a small roof replacement. It also expands the parking lot. So the parking lot that would be expanded would be behind the auditorium. Again, youth groups that use that field behind it, groups that use our auditorium, they would all benefit from that parking lot. At the elementary school, we are looking at a 4-classroom addition off the kindergarten wing. Last year, we had serious conversations about adding a 6th kindergarten, which has been years since Richmond has had that many sections. So that would cause for a relocation of the kindergarten playground equipment. The other major expansion at the elementary school is the kitchen. That kitchen was originally designed not for 600 kids,
Right.
and that's how many kids are at the building. So basically doubling the size of the kitchen for the number of meals that we prepare. And then lastly, at the elementary school, there's a parking lot expansion, kind of out by the baseball field, but it would be almost a little smaller than the one there now, but it almost is equal in size.
Okay. How much money is involved in the bond renewal, and how will those funds be allocated?
So, as I said, there's about $51.8 million would be generated for this it's a no increase millage. So it's, again, what you're currently paying, you would remain paying that rate. So we purchased over 2 series. The first series is for the middle school and the elementary parking lot, which would be, those bonds would be sold in February of 26. And then the second series, which is the high school edition and the elementary edition, would be sold in 2028, roughly July of 2028. So we're timing the bond series to sell so that we can minimize interest payments we're paying, that we make sure projects are completed within the scope that they have to by the have entrusted to us.
Okay. Now,
We're being really fiscally responsible with the money that our taxpayers have entrusted to us.
okay. Now, many residents want to know about cost. How will this renewal affect local taxpayers?
So I've had this question asked of me a lot. So in July of 23, taxpayers were issued a debt levy to pay a certain amount for the debt levy. When their tax bill came in July of 24, the school board voted to reduce that debt levy because we didn't need to levy as much to pay our debt. This past July, if you compared your tax bills, you'll see another decrease in your debt levy. So what we're asking for is whatever the July 2025 debt levy is, that would be the levy that would go forward. So for taxpayers, they wouldn't see an increase in what the debt levy is. I've had the question asked about, well, my taxes might have gone up. The taxes what you've paid may have gone up based on your value of your house.
Yep.
But the debt levy actually over the last 2 years has gone down. And I think that's important to realize, because our board has been really fiscally responsible to make sure we only levy what we need to pay the debt.
Yep.
We've been, last several years, we have refinanced bonds to get at a lower rate to, again, reduce that debt for our taxpayers.
Okay. All right. So what investments have past bonds made possible for the district, and how have those improvements benefited the community?
So this is actually my 12th year in Richmond, and when I started here, the community had just passed the 2013 bond. So coming into the district, I was impressed with our support from our community. Our science labs are some of the best in the county, if not the state. They're really state-of-the-art facilities in terms of space and the infrastructure in place. All the infrastructure of a building, the heat univents, the ceiling tiles, the light fixtures, the flooring, all has been replaced over the last, between the 13 bond and the 19 bond. Boilers, hot water tanks, those all the infrastructure that you need for it has been upgraded. And like I said, the difference between this one is this is about adding on the facility, the structure, where the previous two were improving what we currently have. So how has that benefited the community? For the last 10 years, our enrollment has had a steady growth. We have gained students. It's not really school of choice that we're gaining. People are choosing to move to the area, which is really what we want. They're the taxpayers. They're investing in their communities and so forth. And so that has really benefited the district. The fiscal management that we've had, being able to not divert general funds for maintenance and using the bond, has helped us make sure our fiscal are much more fiscally responsible from the board. So the taxpayers have really benefited from these two bonds. This is only going to benefit them more. It allows for facilities and growth. It allows for students to be in classrooms that are not overcrowded. It allows for facilities for our community groups to utilize, whether it's a gymnasium or whether it's an expanded cafeteria. it's really a win-win for everybody.
Yep. So how do you balance maintaining facilities with investing in academic programming and student support?
That is a great balancing act that I think we have done a remarkable job as a district. In the 2019 bond, when we went to the voters, and one of the items that was in that bond was the turf field, the artificial turf. In that bond, the board committed to making sure that we put in structures in place that when that turf needed to be replaced, we had the funds to replace it. And that's exactly what our board's done. They have taken our fiscal budget and allocated a certain dollar amount, if you think placing it in a savings account, if you will, so that when that time comes, the money's there, that we don't have to ask the taxpayers. So we heard the taxpayers loud and clear in that 19 bond that they were willing to make the improvement, pay more in their taxes in 19, but making sure that we had the investment. So the technology that we paid for in 19 bond, we have money set aside in the district now to pay for it. So what I feel which makes this a plus is we honored and respected the taxpayers in that, and this bond is about the future of our district and the growth. We want the best for our kids. We want the state-of-the-art technology. We want the small class sizes. We want quality instructors, et cetera. This is allowing us to have the facilities to do that.
Okay. So safety and security are always a priority. Does this bond renewal address those areas?
This bond picks up with what we've done and expands it. So all of the new facilities that we have the ability to have the swipe door locks, the camera systems, the strategic badge system that we have. All of that is part of this bond as it's listed under the furnishings and technology in the application, but as we add 4 classrooms, we're going to add the technology, the computers for those 4 classrooms, so that every classroom is with state-of-the-art technology.
Okay. What input did the district seek from parents, staff, and community members when shaping this renewal proposal?
This was for the board, the direction the board gave me, this was critical that we make sure that we get buy-in from our community and an understanding of why we needed this. So this process really started almost 18 months ago. It was January of 24 that we actually started this process. It began with a conversation. The board said, "Are you interested? We have an opportunity here." So from that point on, we held community meetings. We invited people into the community. Here's what we're thinking. What ideas do you have that could make our facilities even better? So we took that list. We took our needs list. Okay, obviously more space was one that was a top priority.
Right.
From there, then we had meetings with our staff. We talked to the people who, if you will, are in the trenches every day. They live and breathe this with the student. So we wanted to make sure that their input was part of this. Beginning of February of this year, we started having conversations more at the board table. At all of our board meetings, we had a bond conversation. People were invited to public comment and so forth. So we've had multiple opportunities where people have given their feedback, good and bad. They've asked for here, if we could do a bond, could we consider this? All of that was taken into consideration, and then when May came around, the board had to finalize that into a final number. These are the items that we are going to consider and put in the bond application to submit to the Michigan Department of Treasury for them to approve.
And these discussions, you've on this Richmond Community Schools website, you put those meetings, links to those meetings along with the time from where those discussions were going on, correct?
Absolutely. This is when we passed the 19 bond, or we approached the vote. Key to that is being very transparent. This is what we're asking for. So all of the stuff for this bond is on our website. There's a link at the top that says bond information. You can click on it. It's got every brochure that we sent out, every article that we sent out, from the communicator to things that have been placed in the mail. The videos that you reference, those clips are on there, so you don't have to watch the whole thing. You can go specifically to that part of the board meeting. We listed all the dates that we've had community forum meetings. And ultimately, the bond application is there, so you can actually see what we budgeted for each of the projects at each of the buildings.
Okay. So in your view, what would be the impact on students in the district if the bond renewal does not pass?
Well, I'm going to hope it does. It does pass, but we always have, in any good industry, and education is an industry, we always have to have a backup plan. So some of the things that we are thinking about is, using facilities differently. The biggest impact for students would be if I have no space to put new students, I can only increase class sizes, which is really what the board and I have tried not to do in maintaining that. Because it becomes challenging. And some of our rooms, when you look at our buildings, and I invite every community member to come into our buildings and look at them. If you want a tour, I will give you a tour of our building. If you go to an elementary classroom that was built in the 60s, or a high school classroom that was built in the 50s, or a middle school classroom that was built in the 70s, the size of those classrooms are very different. So I can't say we're going to put 30 kids in a classroom, because sometimes the physical space prevents me from doing that.
Right.
But that is one thing that we would look at the facility, saying, okay, if we don't have the additional classrooms to put kids, then we're going to have to increase class sizes, would be one of them.
Right.
And that becomes a challenge for parents, because they want their kids to be in a lower class size, have the much one-on-one attention they can get from their classroom teacher, and it does become challenging for a teacher.
Okay. So how will this bond renewal help Richmond Community Schools remain competitive with neighboring districts?
Well, being a smaller district, when you look at some of our neighboring districts that are larger, we've been really competitive. Bringing in many of the CTE programs, which have been a result of previous bonds that we've been able to create the infrastructure, or at least the space for.
Yep.
So that has helped us be competitive. This bond is going to help us remain competitive, because it allows us to generally, when you look at our class sizes compared to other districts, generally, we're lower. We're on the lower end. We're looking at physical space. Our STEAM rooms were a result of a bond that our community supported. Improving in our music structure. One of the parts of the addition, or part of the addition at the middle school, is a multi-purpose music room. Right now, our 4th and 5th graders have music on the stage at the middle school, because we don't have a classroom for them. This would allow them to be in a classroom with all the infrastructure, the microphones, the sound systems that are important for a music program. We want to maintain that. So this helps us maintain those quality programs, and in a facility that's conducive to learning.
All right. What do you want voters to understand most clearly when they see this item on the November ballot?
What I want voters to understand is this is about investing in our current students and future. All communities are facing economics and growing pains. We're in a fortunate spot that we are in a positive. Our population is growing. You hear in the news throughout the state, many districts are in a decreasing. We're not that district. We are slowly increasing. So that's the first thing, is it's about the kids and what we can provide for them. The second thing from a fiscal end is this is a no increase. This is asking voters, if you're willing to continue paying what you're paying, the rate, we can make all these improvements, add these additions onto our buildings, and it won't cost you any more than you're currently paying as far as the rate. So those are the two pieces. It's about investing in our kids and in the future kids. We have a lot of young families in our community that live here in Richmond and the 4 townships that make up Richmond Community Schools. They're here for the long haul. So we need to make sure we have facilities for them. For our families that don't have students anymore in our district, or maybe their kids have grown up, if you look at our facilities, you have invested in these facilities. They're beautiful facilities, and we thank you for that. And we want to continue that, because a great school, great facility only helps the property values in our area, which is going to help everybody.
For sure. Finally, how can residents learn more about the bond renewal before they cast their vote?
There's two ways. One is, if you're one that want to read and kind of process things, go to our website. There is a link at the top of the page, bond information. Again, it has everything. It has our student enrollment projection. It has the bond application. It has the videos that we reference. It has the scope of the projects. Everything is there. And the second rate, if you want to talk, there's a Just Ask question on there. You can click that button. It comes to me and several other people. We will answer that question directly back to you, but we'll also put that question and answer on our website.
Okay.
And I would probably say The third way, give us a call. We'll be more than happy to talk to you on the phone, meet with you in person. We've had a couple groups reach out to me who want to meet as a small community group. I will come to those meetings and talk about the bond and explain the implications of it. My goal and the Board of Education's goal is to make sure our community has the information to make an educated decision. That there's nothing secretive about this. Everything is transparent on our website.
All right. Well, thank you very much,
it's a
Brian, for
pleasure.
joining me
Thank
today. These are and sharing these important details about the bond renewal. Richmond voters will decide on the proposal on November 4th. Absentee ballots will start being sent out on September 20th. For more information on the bond renewal and what it means for the community, you can visit the Richmond Community Schools website, www.richmond.k12.mi.us, or attend one of the district's upcoming informational meetings. And of course, remember to make your voice heard at the polls on November 4th. Thank you for watching and have a great day.